Well, President Trump gave his first address of his second term to Congress last night, laying out his plans for the future of his presidency.
6 weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America. Every day, my administration is fighting to deliver the change America needs to bring a future that America deserves.
The president also tried to make the case for some of the executive orders he signed, as well as to sell the country on tariffs and efforts to withdraw aid to Ukraine. Joining us this morning is political strategist Cristina Antelo. Cristina, thank you for being with us. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Hey, the theme last night was the renewal of the American dream. Did the president convey that in the speech that he gave last night?
You know, I think he definitely conveyed a lot of his wins in the first 6 weeks of his presidency and this return to a common sense. I don't know if I agree with all of them, kind of, highlighting his desire to take over Greenland and to rename the Gulf of America. But, I think for his core base, he did kind of harp on the themes of some of the victories that he said he would do. And not for nothing, I think that he is kind of giving them some of the victories, a lot of the investments for American companies that they are making in the United States, or at least giving him the wins that maybe they've planned for a long time, but announcing them in his tenure.
So far, the president, like I said, has signed a number of executive orders. Were there any signs last night that the president will start making strides to begin working with Congress on it? I know there was... You've got to obviously reach out to both sides, and obviously Democrats are not fully in favor of anything the president has to say. So it seems like an insurmountable task. But is there any wiggle room with any of the big issues, the big ticket items out there, as far as making things more affordable for consumers, let's say?
I mean, it made it very clear that partisan divide between Republicans and Democrat is even further now than before. The spectacle, really, that Democrats put out there, and he goaded them into it, and that didn't help any matters. I mean, he made a couple of calls for Republicans to help with the legislation, the reconciliation bill, the tax bill that he's trying to get out there and get that done. But it was also interesting how he made reference to, the Homeland Security bill that Congress had done in the last Congress. And saying, you didn't need to do that. I can do it on my own. I don't need you, which is really kind of, and they applauded, which is kind of an acknowledgement of the decrease of their own power. I don't know if that was a smart move by Congress for them to applaud that. But there is at least an acknowledgement that he wants them to work on his legislative agenda and wish Johnson good luck with that. So kind of a flippant kind of comment to that. I
mean, I think the one thing that you can say is the executive branch has probably never had more power than under this president right now, as what you alluded to. Congress kind of, they'll just clap at anything for staying in his favor. The president calling out many Democrats last night, and I think most would say who are watching this, if you're watching this from the middle of the aisle, you're saying, well, they may not agree with this president, but some of the behavior last night, the little signs and whatnot, the disruptions, probably not the best path to endear yourself to either independents or people that aren't happy, Republicans that aren't happy with some of the decisions, federal workers, let's say, that have been fired. So, I mean, as far as bringing in a new audience and getting more people on your side, I don't know if last night was the best path for them.
It wasn't. I don't think so. But, the rebuttal by new Senator Alyssa Slotkin, I thought was really dignified. It was intelligent. There were a lot of things in her speech to grab onto. Also, the Spanish language rebuttal from New York, Congressman Espaillat, was also really interesting. I think an attempt to try to get Latino voters back into the fold, kind of really harping on how the policies from the Trump administration are harming the Latino community, even though there was such a swing from the Latino community to Trump's vision. So it was interesting to watch at least those more concerted efforts and the grabs for the Democratic vote on that side.
I want to ask you, so the big issue, the big story yesterday before the speech was, of course, the tariffs that were enacted, the market two-day crash of about 1,300 points, about 2,000 since this president took office. We were watching yesterday. I was watching one of the conservative cable networks. They were at a pickup truck dealership in Pennsylvania, and a big Trump supporter said, hey, this $80,000 pickup is now $100,000 with these tariffs. And then last night you had Howard Lutnick on Fox Business Channel saying, well, you know what, we may have to pull back on these tariffs, as the market was seen crashing on the below when the president was speaking. Probably going to be some changes there, you think?
I think so. You know, it's interesting. You saw them say, like, there might be some temporary pain. The president mentioned that in the speech last night, too, about farmers. I mean, once farmers start to yell and that starts to get to the Republican congressmen and senators, they're going to feel that pain. They're the ones who do have reelections, even though the president doesn't. That will be where the pain is. I think that there will be, you know, the tariffs will need some time to kind of have the effects in the markets and the stock markets. That plummeting in the last couple of days is, I mean, we're in correction territory. If the recession comes by this summer, there absolutely will need to be some changes that have to come in the tariffs. And I don't know how quickly they'll need to do that, but it certainly is. I mean, these are all the things that the economists have been predicting in these tariffs.
And with regulations going out the door, these dips also a great time to buy for some that have lots of money. Political strategist Cristina Antelo, thank you very much. Good to talk with you this morning.
Thank you.
For more on what the president had to say and the plans he laid out, you can head to our website at cbsnewyork.com. Lots of things covered last night. Speech covered just over an hour and 40 minutes, but a lot of things to cover.